Welcome to Hardwick Smiths, and this is the brand new IMPACT ZIG FLOAT. Now we've chosen Hardwick Smiths on the linear complex because out of all the lakes that are down here, this is probably the deepest one. So we're going to go over there today, we're going to have a little wander around, see if we can find ourselves a peg and see if we can put these bad boys to use. So, little walk around Hardwick and we've settled on peg 2. Reason for this, seen a few fish out there. I know there's a bar to my left. I'm past the bar, but I'm in really deep water here, but there is fish down this area. Do have someone in 1, there's someone in 3, there's somebody in 5, and the point swims are taken. So this is a good bet. You know, I know this area of the lake is the deepest area of the lake, so it's perfect for fishing these adjustable zigs. But not only that, I've seen fish in this sort of area. Wind's gonna switch, be pushing from left to right. So any fish from the left, potentially is gonna move down here. First things first though, get the old 100T up. I'm gonna get my bed in there, gonna get the rod set up. I'm gonna have a little mark around. So what I've done, I've got myself set up in the swim. I've had a lead around and I found quite a nice area at 18 wraps. It's nice and clear, a little bit of gravel. So if I did end up going down onto the deck tonight, once I fish the zigs through the day, then I've got that option. What I've done, I've got 3 IMPACT zigs all tied up and ready. They're ready to put the liquids in and add the extra bit of foam. I've put 3-foot hook links on each one. So I know with the 3-foot hook link, the boom section and the float, I'm 3'6". Now, I got the marker float out, which isn't something I do a great deal of. I normally count the lead down, and counting the lead down, I was getting about a 4.5, 5 second drop, which gives me about 14 to 16 foot. Good as gold. I've got the float out, popped the float up, I've got 16 foot of water. Now, what I'll do with the zig floats, I'm gonna put them out, get them in the space that I need them, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of bait over the top. I'm not gonna put a huge amount, just gonna trickle a little bit in every hour or so and see if we can start producing bites with the fish being used to seeing things dropping through the water and snapping at them. I'm gonna start with 1 float at 10 foot, 1 at 11 foot, and 1 at 12 foot. And the nice thing about an adjustable is it's very easy just for me to add a foot or take a foot away by simply marking my rods up with a foot, and then I just hold onto the line, reel it back onto the spool, or pull the line off to add another foot. So let's get these rods out, get them in position, and get a little bit of spot over the top. So I'm going to make up a little bit of what I'd class as soup mix or sloppy mix. It's almost like a forgotten method now, spotting a soup mix over the top of zigs. But with these adjustables, it's quite nice to do that. You know, you can use them with the oils and with the liquids in. But me personally, it was one of my favourite ways of fishing. So what I've got in here, I've got a little bit of particle. There's quite a lot of hemp, bit of chopped boilie, bit of sweet corn. I'm going to put a little bit of that in the bucket. Then I've got one of the dedicated slot mixes. This is the Blizzard. It's a cloudy mix, so it creates a nice cloud in the water. I know the zigs were 16 foot of water. I've got 1 at 11, 1 at 12. So I've got 1 5 foot under the water and 1 4 foot under the water. So it's going to create a nice cloud around them. Hopefully some fish come in, start pecking around at things floating in the water. They grab hold of the zig. So what I do is I throw a load of this in, and then you add some water and you mix it to a nice consistency. And what it does is, over a period of time, you'll get a little bit more, it'll get a little bit thicker as the particles that are in the soup mix start soaking up the water, and then all you do, just keep adding a little bit more water. It was a very messy way of fishing. When we used to use the old school type spods, you used to get it all up your back, but with the new spoms now, it does make life, well, I say new spoms, they're not that new anymore, are they? It does make a little bit of mess, but nowhere near as bad as it used to be. So there you can see it's a nice sloppy mix, and when it goes in the water, it creates a beautiful cloud with plenty of particles in. The fish are going to start snapping at, and hopefully my little bit of foam that's sat in amongst it all is going to get hit first. Well, here we go. First bite on the adjustable. Didn't take too long. It has found a little bit of weed though, which is really frustrating because there's a big weed bed right in front of me. The line's been laying straight over the top of it. So I'm just trying to keep a bit of pressure on. Feels like there's a big lump of weed on the line. So I'll keep the rod up, see if I can get it past it, and just hope that being in the weed bed with that hook link hasn't managed to throw it. I'd actually just put an extra 2 foot on this one. So this is one we've seen some showing fish, and I just dropped it straight on, brought it up to 10 foot, didn't have a bite, seen another fish show, so I just gave it another 2 foot, so it brought it much higher to the surface. There we go, first one on the adjustable. Happy days. A lovely little Hardwick mirror. So here we go, proof in the pudding. First fish on the adjustable zig, 22 pound on the nose, happy days. What was nice with that bite was I'd got it set at about 9-10 foot, and I'd just seen a fish show over the spot again, and I thought maybe they're a little bit higher, so I just gave it another 2 foot, and sure enough, about 10 minutes later it's ripped off. And that's definitely one of the bonuses of using an adjustable, is the fact that if I'd have wanted to change and go up a little bit, I'd have had to have reeled in, retied the zig and cast it back out. But with them adjustables, it's so easy, you just peel off another foot of line off the spool and you're laughing. But for now, let's get this one back and see if we can bag another one. Happy days. Right then, let's have a quick look at the IMPACT ZIG FLOAT and how I've set it up. So to start off with, I've got a nice strong main line. I've got the 15-pound Trakker main line. The reason that I use quite a strong main line is because you can't use leaders with this, because if you put a leader on, you're obviously going to have a knot, and if anything ever happened and you had a cut off, then the knot cannot get through the ZIG FLOAT, so the fish will be left trailing the ZIG FLOAT. So I've got a nice strong main line. To that, I've got you have the boom section. Now the boom section, you just simply thread through the ball bearing swivel, and that is the free running part on the line. I've then threaded it through the ZIG FLOAT, through the head, and attached the other ball bearing swivel at the other end. Now it comes with a couple of different coloured heads. We have done videos on how to set this up exactly, so if you're unsure about how setting it up, have a little look on our YouTube channel, because you will find a step-by-step guide on how to set it up. But with the different coloured heads, it comes with a green head, yellow head and black head. Now in this situation, I've already marked the depth. Because I'm fishing on a spot, I've put out a marker float, found that it's 16 foot. So what I'm doing is actually bringing the ZIG FLOAT right down to the bottom. When it hits the water, I let it down, I let a bit of line out, and then I pull the rod tip back until I feel the resistance of the float hitting the stem. I then know that the zig is set at 3.5 foot, because you get 6 inches for the float and the stem, and then I've tied on a very simple 3-foot zig with a zig rigger on. Then what I do is I release line, so I know that I'm coming up. First I do 6 inches, which takes me to 4 foot, and then I adjust the zig to whatever depth that I want to be fishing at. On this session, I've been catching them on 11 foot. So obviously I'm giving off enough line until I get the ZIG FLOAT to 11 foot. To simply put the stem in, you slide it down the crack on the side of the float. That's the stem in place, ready to eject when it hits the water. And then on the head of the float, you've got the 3 holes. Now, the 2-hole side is for putting your liquid in. The single hole side is for putting a little bit of foam nugget in there so that you can hook your hook link in. Now, I started off fishing with liquid in, and I've caught fish like that. I've now moved over to putting some slop over the top of the zigs, just to see whether there was much of a difference with it. Now, when you get to this situation, if you make the cast and you don't get it right, you have to bring it back in and twizzle down a little bit of PVA foam that you put into the holes. Now sometimes this can make a little bit of effort to do it that way. Now if you're not putting the liquid in, the easiest way I've found to do it is just simply to take hold of a foam nugget. I keep them all in my pocket because obviously I'm doing this quite a lot. I take up one of the foam nuggets, give it a lick, and on the abrasion side of the head I'm just popping that nugget on. Give it a bit more lick. Hold it there for a second, and that's going to glue itself to the side of the ZIG FLOAT, and then simply I take hold of the zig, take hold of the hook and I just put it into the foam. And if I'm having to make a recast, then I'm not having to try and twizzle it down and cut one in half to be able to get it in the hole. So it just makes the whole process a little bit quicker when I'm constantly casting them. Now I'm fishing it 3 on the spot, which is quite a common tactic when you're spodding slop over the top. And I'm going to keep putting these adjustables out and see if I can catch you a few more fish before the end of the session. So here we go, fish number 2 falling to the IMPACT ZIG FLOAT. What I did this morning is first light, 4 o'clock, I've got up, I've seen a couple of fish showing over my spot and I thought, right, those zigs need to come up again. So once again, just like yesterday, I've peeled up a couple of foot of line on my highest zig, which was 10 foot, took it up to 12 foot, and about 20 minutes later, it's rattled off with this absolutely stunning Hardwick Smith's mirror. So it just shows that these adjustables can make such a difference by just being able to give you the opportunity to adjust the zig without having to retie one. And this is the proof in the pudding. Happy days. So there we go, just a short video on a little 24-hour session showing you how to use the IMPACT ZIG FLOAT. If you haven't got one, then make sure you pop down to your local dealer, because these things really have changed the way I fish with an adjustable zig. It makes life so much easier. You know, as they hit the water, the lead discharges, I haven't had one tangle while I've been fishing, and I've had 2 on the spot, and I've been roving one round at showing fish and things like that, and it just shows these things are incredible. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you've got any questions, drop me a message on Instagram or Facebook, Bonesy1.